My name is Jackie Bradley, and I've been a member of this group for 5 years. This story is the result of an assignment that we had for Valentine's Day to write something about love. I hope the story expresses the love of the couple that I wrote about. The title of the story is 6 Months in the Bedroom. She was bent over his feet at an angle that would make any woman's back hurt, but she was so busy tending to the wounds on his feet that she didn't notice the pain. She was intent on gently removing the gauze, setting the squares on a paper towel she had laid out on the bed earlier, and with the removal of the last pad, she said, "I think they look better today." She picked up the washcloth and dipped it in a basin and began washing the rest of the wounds, being careful not to disturb the new skin that was forming over the wounds. She took a clean towel from the pile on the dresser and gently dried his feet. He passed the ointment to her, and she applied it, her fingers barely touching his skin. Silently he watched, enjoying her touch. When the new bandages were in place, she took the bottle of lotion that had been warming in the wash basin and squirted some into her hand. Gently she applied the lotion to the rest of his feet and legs, and when she was satisfied that she had banished the dry skin, she capped the bottle and pulled down his pajama pant legs. After adjusting his blankets, she reached for the wash basin and the vial of insulin and headed for the kitchen. She took a pair of white socks from the dryer and headed back to the bedroom. She gathered up each sock, stretching it open and over his toes, ensuring it would not disturb the wounds. After releasing each sock, she wrapped her hands around it as trying to transform every last bit of heat from the dryer to his feet. As she adjusted his pillows and blankets, he took her hand, swinging it as he always did, and then released it and lay back. Giving his bald head a kiss, she turned to sit down. She picked up last night's paper and resumed reading where she had left off. "Did you see this in the police blotter? Someone stole a bike off the front porch of Gary's old house. Didn't even care that someone was watching him do it. It's a good thing we moved here when we did." He agreed and returned to his reading. The room they spent their days in was small and sparsely furnished. There was a twin bed and a small chest of drawers, one that had served as a dressing table when the children were babies. The little bookcase from the girls' bedroom was now home to their tape player and a large collection of gospel favorites. Above that, on the dark mahogany paneling, was a wall lamp, the base of which was shaped like a wagon wheel, purchased in the 50s when Wagon Train was the family's favorite show. The only other furniture was her chair. It was left over from the first kitchen table set they had actually bought new, the thick vinyl showing wear from many years of good meals. The walls of the room held a collection of pictures. Above the head of the bed was a picture they had purchased on their honeymoon, the Sea of Tranquility, hopeful that their life together would be tranquil. On the long wall was a grouping of graduation pictures of the children, all in different frames, each purchased the year of the graduation. There was also a large string art sailboat that their youngest son had made when he was confined to bed with rheumatic fever. On the wall opposite the bed was a framed American flag. It had covered the casket of their eldest son. These were the sights of their now. "Well, I think I'll get us some lunch." She headed toward the kitchen, taking an empty cashew can. Better get some more cashews and maple ripple ice cream, she thought. A few minutes later, he called her. Offering her arm, she gently helped him stand and moved to the commode alongside the bed. She left the room, but waited around the corner until he called her back. Together, they got him back to bed, and she removed the container. When she returned, she brought disposable wipes for him and sat by his side as he cleaned his hands. That taken care of, she returned to the kitchen. She carried the lunch tray back to the bedroom. There were ham sandwiches for both of them, a can of cashews, and one bowl of ice cream. She offered then coaxed him to eat the sandwich, but knew it would be refused. While he ate some nuts and ice cream, she forced down her sandwich. Lifting the tray, she told him, "I'll just wrap this up. Maybe you'll be hungry later." In the kitchen, she pulled a piece of plastic wrap from the roll, wrapped the sandwich, and placed it in the refrigerator alongside a dinner plate from last night. As she cleaned up the sink, she saw the mailman coming up the front walk. Quickly drying her hands, she opened the door and extended her hand to accept today's mail. "How is he today?" Bob asked. "Good, thank you," she said. "Glad to hear it. Please tell him hello from me," he said as he backed down the steps. She scanned the mail, threw the junk in the trash, and walked back to the bedroom. "There's a letter from my sister. I wonder what she and Ron are up to this week," she mused as she opened the letter. Sitting next to him on the bed, she read to him, pausing to reread parts that he didn't quite hear. When she finished, she passed the letter to him. "I always enjoy getting a letter from your sister." She enjoyed the letters too. Each Wednesday there would be a new one, keeping them abreast of what happened in the family in the past week. They went back to reading the mail, checking the bills carefully. She took out the checkbook and ledger number 10. As he read the bill to her, she wrote the check and he recorded the payment. And when that job was done, they returned to the paper. "Oh my," she said, "did you see where the ice skating palace is closing? We had some great times there. I laughed so hard when you fell in front of me I thought I'd split." "I remember," he replied. "That fall was the best thing I ever did. If it hadn't been for that fall, we never would have met." His blue eyes brightened as he remembered that night. "I'll miss the rink," she sighed. They were silent for a while, each thinking of their early days together. There had been a lot of good times, visits to the grandparents, good friends, a dependable job, even two at times, camping trips with the kids, and then the grandchildren. Now the great-grandchildren were arriving, enough to make a body tired. The afternoon saw them both doze off, he in the bed, and she still sitting in the old kitchen chair. The weight of her head falling on her chest awakened her, and she silently moved out to his recliner in the living room. She nestled into the chair and relaxed in his embrace. When she awoke, it was to his calling for her. Quicker than anyone would expect, she hurried to his room. He needed her help again. Later that day, she served him supper, again trying to get him to eat the chicken dish that he loved so much. She brought him more ice cream. They turned on the small TV on the chest of drawers to hear the evening news, and when the newscaster signed off, she turned off the set. They traded sections of today's paper and continued reading until he tired. Then she prepared him for the night. She bent over his feet at an angle that would make any woman's back hurt, but she was so busy tending to the sores on his feet that she didn't notice the ache. She was intent on gently removing the bandages she had applied that morning. With the lightest of touches, she removed the gauze, setting the squares on a paper towel she had laid out on the bed next to him. With the removal of the last pad, she said, "I think they will look better tomorrow."